Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Life in General podcast. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian, and I write all my own songs.
You do write all your own songs,
Except for the
Ian?
ones that are co-written.
Wait. So,
don't tell
am I your co-writer? Or?
I guess. I'm going to take all the credit.
That, if you don't know, that is a reference to Taylor Swift's little fight with the guy from Gorillaz.
Yeah. Well, more his fight with her. She didn't comment on it, did she?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she basically said to fuck off.
Oh, okay. Which, I mean, for what it's worth, I am not a Taylor Swift fan. I don't like her music. I don't care who wrote it. I don't much care for it. But,
I just thought it was very interesting that, it was the same thing with, so if you don't know, they were in an interview, the frontman from Gorillaz, they were talking about songwriters, and Taylor Swift's name came up, and he had a very odd statement. I don't think it was a really big dig at Taylor Swift, but
no,
it was basically trying to say that she doesn't write her own music, she shouldn't count as a songwriter. Basically, is what he was trying to say. But
it's stupid. It's kind of like I said, Elton John then is not a songwriter, and I would say he is.
Yeah, but I mean, Taylor not only writes at least a bulk of the lyrics, she also writes a lot of the music also.
Right. So. Whatever. I think it's just silly.
But it kind of goes back to the whole Machine Gun Kelly and Corey Taylor thing too. It's like
I don't even know what they were fighting about. What were they fighting about?
So that whole story was Machine Gun Kelly and Travis Barker wanted Corey Taylor to feature on a track on Tickets to My Downfall.
Okay.
So Machine Gun Kelly, I think it was Travis, sent Corey the tape in the lyrics of what they wanted to kind of do, and Corey wrote a verse, sent it to Travis and Colton, which is Machine Gun Kelly's real name, to kind of go over it. And so they kind of did some edits and sent back the lyrics, and Corey Taylor did not like that they had changed his lyrics.
But it's not his song.
I know that. And that's kind of where the whole kind of thing started up is Corey Taylor was mad that because Travis and Colton changed the lyrics, he was like, well, I'm not in it. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not gonna do this. And so he backed out of doing the song, featuring a song, which features right now are big in rock music. Everyone does.
Well, they have been for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. But especially right now in rock music, everyone is doing different features on other albums. And I kind of think it's one of the things that's gonna kind of fuel rock music in the mainstream over the next several years. But anyway. So
there's examples of it that go back to the 70s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But so Corey Taylor backs out, and in an interview, doesn't name Machine Gun Kelly by name, but makes a big stink about artists that can no longer hack it in their genre, and they go and do other, go do new music in different genres and kind of do it all for money. And that's where this whole thing kind of came up.
Which is stupid because genres are all blended nowadays anyway. What differences would make? Yeah.
And then so a short period later, Machine Gun Kelly is on stage during a concert, and someone is videotaping it like everything in life is videotaped now. And Machine Gun Kelly very blatantly calls out Slipknot and says that, hey, when I'm in my 40s, I'm hoping I'm not, or 50s, whatever. I don't know if he says 40 years or 50s, whatever it was.
I think Corey Taylor's in his late 40s, early 50s.
So whatever. But he says, I'm hoping when I'm not that age, I'm not up on a stage wearing a mask playing rock music or something along those lines. And he said some other things also. And then, so of course, Corey Taylor got all pissed off and posted all the DM messages from Travis about what happened. So Corey Taylor posted all over his social media about all this stuff. It seemed but Machine Gun Kelly is getting all the flack for it, which I think is kind of bullshit because it seemed like it was all dead in the water, quiet until Corey Taylor opened his fucking mouth up and started spouting all this stuff off. And I think it's funny that here he is, Machine Gun Kelly, who has as many number one albums as Slipknot does. So what?
I don't judge artists by that, but
that's what I'm saying though is he's calling out Machine Gun Kelly, but they're who fucking cares? Right. You're both major artists in your own genre or whatever.
And like I said, I don't much care for Slipknot music and that other side project he does, Corey Taylor does. But and I'm not a huge fan of Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, his last album was decent, but when you're featuring or guesting on someone else's recording, They're not
it's not your song.
Exactly. They're not asking you to come in and write your part.
Yeah.
They're asking you to come in, lend your voice or your instrument to
What they're doing.
to what they're doing, which is still has to work with what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's cool that I thought he wrote some lyrics and they didn't like them or they changed them a little bit. If he didn't want to do it, that's fine. If he says, I really like those lyrics. Actually, maybe he should have said, I really like those lyrics. Why don't we take those out? Well, maybe we'll do something else. I'll use those in my own song.
Yeah. Well, the way he kind of put it was almost like and I read the whole thing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically what he said was, "I'm a rock star. How dare you change my fucking lyrics?"
Yeah, that's stupid.
And that's
no one.
And that's why I was like, dude, you posted all this shit, but you made yourself look like an asshole,
right?
To anyone that actually digs into the story and actually looks at it. Yeah. From the outs, if you're looking from just the 30,000 foot view of it, and all you see is Machine Gun Kelly spouting off, because what he said on stage, he should not have said.
Right. Well, he's young. He's 25 years old.
He's in his. He might be a little older than that.
Still a kid. Doesn't know fucking better.
But anyway, even if you're a 70-year-old musician, you shouldn't be spouting off that kind of shit on stage.
Well, most 70-year-olds would know better.
I don't know.
They did it in their 20s,
yeah. But so yeah, I think a lot of people kind of see what Machine Gun Kelly did on stage and kind of think a lot of it kind of came from there, and I think that's why he's kind of getting a lot of the blame for the feud between the two. But I mean, they both kind of played a role in it, but I think it seemed like it was dead and dusted, and then Corey Taylor opened his fucking mouth up. But anyway, that's just my...
That's recent. Like, it was over, it seemed over, and then Corey Taylor said something recently.
Yes, he, in an interview, he opened his mouth up again about it. But anyway, it's just... I kind of like rock feuds or music feuds. I think they kind of...
I don't think it adds anything to anything.
No, but I think it's something that especially rock music hasn't had in a very long time. Is something like, when's the last time that
do we really want an East Side West Side thing going on with rock and roll?
Fuck yeah, man! If it brings eyes and more attention to the genre, yeah, I don't care.
Drive-by shootings.
Well, none of that is gonna fucking happen.
Right? Yeah, you never know. Ted Nugent could jump in there.
No, Ted Nugent only shoots things that are in fences.
Right? Yeah.
It's got to be like caged in a fence.
Well, I mean, he would probably shoot a human if he could drug them and then throw them in a cage.
Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, man, if we were having what's that thing where the Purge, if we were having the Purge, I could shoot somebody, I think. I know when we talked about it on that one episode we did, when we were playing the games on New Year's, it kind of came up and I was like, I couldn't shoot someone. The more I thought about it after the fact,
I could shoot you.
Well, I could shoot you too.
That's how we go out. The first Purge, we just shoot each other.
And it's done.
And it's done.
But anyway, that's not what we came here today to talk about.
No.
We did
talk about something even more cheerful.
Well, we were going to talk about Sopranos, but then some stuff kind of percolated and has kind of burst upon the news scene lately, and that is all this censorship stuff, and mainly, I guess we're in a kind of a music theme, so I guess we'll stay with the music aspect of it. But so everything that's going on with Joe Rogan, if you don't know, Joe Rogan has been there's been all these claims that he's putting out a lot of misinformation as far as COVID
which he
stuff,
has. I mean, he has done.
I don't know. I mean, he has to a certain extent. I think my big issue with Joe Rogan is, I will say that right off the top that I am not a Joe Rogan fan. I have listened to. I don't know if I've ever listened to a full episode.
I have never listened to a full episode.
But I've listened to a lot of pieces of interviews, because some of his interviews are 3 or 4 hours long, and that's how I think that's what was kind of the interesting thing about his podcast, is that it is these big long conversations, and they do go off in a bunch of different areas, and they cover a lot of different stuff. And it seems like when there is controversy, like the COVID stuff, it seems like people are taking segments out of these interviews where they kind of go off the rails. And so he had 2 different doctors on, it was 2 different episodes. And both of these doctors are very credible. They're very, they are highly respected physicians, but neither one of them are, they're not, experts in COVID, or anything really to do with COVID. They're off in different fields when it comes to medicine. And the one doctor, I don't know I should have looked up both the names, but anyway, one of the doctors is affiliated with an organization and does a lot of work with this organization that promotes things like homosexuals are responsible for AIDS and things like that. Yeah, so he
sounds like a cheerful man.
So that's what I'm saying though is when you look at different things, always kind of follow the money back and see where the money kind of goes. And he's very, I know he even talked about this, or I don't remember the name of the organization, but he talked about it in the interview he did with Joe Rogan. And, kind of like I said, going back into the history of or recent history of this organization, they have very extreme views and they push a lot of extreme things. And I think the big issue with Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan gets in these conversations with people that Joe Rogan is not knowledgeable on these subjects.
Right.
So he's not really able to ask, because he does ask decent or good questions, but he doesn't have the knowledge to really kind of follow up and really push back on some of the stuff that's said on his podcast.
Mm-hmm. I find, granted, like you, I haven't listened to the full show, but that's all true. But he doesn't shy away from expressing his own personal view on it, as though he were an expert at times.
I know. But I think it's Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and all these other artists. There's like a small group of artists now that have pulled their music from Spotify. Like any musician or artist is able to do whatever they want with their music.
Right.
I think it's dumb.
Yeah, well, I just don't think it accomplishes anything. No,
and the other thing is, and we talked last week about it. Well, during the week when we were at work together, but we also do a podcast. So our podcast is hosted by Podbean. If Podbean were to email me and say, "Hey, you can't talk about these 3 or 4 things on your show," I tell them to go fuck off.
Right. Especially since we're not making any money off this.
No, and even if we were, it's the same thing with Joe Rogan. Like. He doesn't put himself out there as a news organization like fucking Fox News does.
Right.
He puts him. I mean, he is a former reality, star. He was on reality TV. He hosted reality shows and shit like that. And he's always put himself out as just a normal person doing a podcast. Same thing we do here. Mm-hmm. He's never put himself out as an authoritative source, and people need to stop. And I think that's an issue.
On both sides.
With our society.
Yeah. Both sides of the aisle for sure, too.
Is taking information from people that are not experts.
Right. Well, taking information and accepting it as truth just because on all the other things they happen to share your views.
Yeah. Because it justifies a person's belief in a certain subject.
Right.
And they grab it and run with it without actually doing research into it to seeing if it's truthful. And like I said, that's a bigger issue in society.
Yeah.
Is the fact that we do that. And like I said, I think it's dumb. Spotify has already kind of come out and said they're not going to create rules for one person.
Right. Well, and
by the way, Spotify is paying Joe Rogan $11 million an episode.
Wow.
He makes $11 million an episode. He does 3 or 4 episodes a week.
Yeah. So anyone who has Spotify is paying his salary.
Yes.
And I don't even listen to him.
Yeah, because he's got an exclusive deal through Spotify.
Yeah, I'm kind of I would say a semi-purist when it comes to free speech. I don't adhere to, the government cannot tell me what to say.
But in this instance, it's not.
It's not, right. And I don't think that Neil Young or Joni Mitchell or anyone else can tell Spotify who they have on their platform.
Yeah.
And if Spotify is not willing to tell Joe Rogan what to say, based on the fact that they're paying him $1 million or whatever it is, 11 million, whatever.
The number I saw was $11 million.
Okay, $11 million. If they're paying him, they can tell him whatever they want.
Yeah.
And he should have to do what he's getting paid. So if they're not willing to do it, then it no one else can tell him what to say.
No.
It's, that's it. That's the end of the deal. If he's not getting paid by Spotify, he's just being hosted by Spotify, that makes it even more so that Spotify can't tell him what to say. It's just like us. Podbean's not paying us.
Mm-hmm.
We're on their site. That's it.
If they were paying us, I would still tell them to go fuck off.
Yeah, but I mean, then they have the choice to stop paying you. Is what I'm saying.
That's fine. I'll just take the show somewhere else.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know?
There's free speech, but the free speech that we understand doesn't mean you can say whatever you want whenever you want. It just means that the government cannot tell you can't say something or punish you for saying something.
A private business can. And
equally, if Spotify continues to want to support him, which it does appear to be the case, then nothing came out of it. It was completely useless.
All those musicians did was
kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Really,
they cut off their nose to spite their face.
Yeah. Although it did, from what I understand, it did cost Spotify quite a bit of money.
Their stock dropped.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, their stock dropped by like $2 billion total. Yeah. So
that's a lot of money.
It is, but they'll get it back.
Yeah.
But I know Neil Young in his letter or in his statement that he made about removing his music, I know also did make some kind of comment about the sound quality also on Spotify. But if you want to have your music taken down because you think it sounds like shit on Spotify, that's a completely different story. It's a completely different thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a business thing. That has nothing to do with ideas and politics.
No, but I think it's
and his personal views on it, do stem from his childhood.
Oh yeah,
his a lot of family health issues and himself having polio and all that, and still suffering, the ramifications of that. I understand where he's coming from, and individually, I consider it a brave move because he is, I think he is in a sense shooting himself in the foot. Not that he can't afford it; he can afford it.
Yeah.
But it's a brave stance. But it's a brave stance that's purely ceremonial.
Yeah.
And I think
let's see if they're with Joni Mitchell.
Right. I mean, when everyone else is jumping on board, then it's no longer ceremonial. Then it becomes a movement.
Yeah.
And that's stupid. I understand them wanting to solidarity because that's what all the headlines say, solidarity. But again, it's just you can't be. Him doing it was brave. Maybe Joni Mitchell too, but everyone else is just—it's like bandwagon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like taking sides in a high school fight.
Yeah. I don't know what they expected Spotify to do.
Right.
Spotify is not going to cut Joe Rogan.
No, I don't think Neil Young expected them to cut. And I think them putting an advisory on the show, that's fine. If that's that's the answer to it, that's fine.
I don't even know if they're going to do that.
They said they would. They said they were going to put an advisory, some kind of an advisory.
And Joe Rogan has come out and said that he's going to try to present a little bit more alternate views of some of the people that come on the show also. So, if that's
it's his show. If he wants to talk. It's the same with Fox News. If someone was like, if all the sponsors pulled their ads because of Tucker Carlson, I wouldn't be sad, but it would just, I would feel almost the same way about it, even though Tucker Carlson is far worse than Joe Rogan ever could be. Maybe that's a bad example because really Tucker Carlson is a poison on a human shit stain. But
tell us what you really feel, Ian.
Oh, I'm being nice, believe me. But my point is that it's like, I guess it'd be like a show saying, "Oh, I don't want to be on your network if you have so and so on your network too." Yeah. It's just why.
Yeah,
I personally think that they need to get politics out of entertainment altogether because all it's going to do is all it does is cause fucking problems.
Well, that's the age we live in, and
I know,
politics is in fucking everything.
I know, but it's like so. I'm a Star Wars. I'm going to
tell you right now, politics has been in music for roughly 60 fucking years.
The length of time that rock and roll has been around, pretty much, yeah. But there's a difference between politics and what's going on with this. This is different.
I don't know, man.
It is.
It's like you think like if social media and the internet was around in the late 60s and some of like Country Joe and the Fish, you don't think all this stuff would have been exactly the fucking same?
Maybe not. Maybe it would. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there was back then people they either had a position or they didn't. They maybe expressed that position in their music or they didn't. And if you like that, you supported it. If you didn't, you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it was simple. I would say for the vast majority of music say post 1970, there really wasn't a message so much. I mean, maybe in some of the R&B stuff.
I think there was less of a message than
yeah,
what there was.
But I mean, it wasn't pushing an agenda for the most part because it became too commercial.
Yeah. Not until you hit like the late 80s with rap, I think, is
when it started to get more political again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
because late 80s rap music was very political. You had Public Enemy and the stuff that NWA was doing, and Ice Cube, and
there were still like artists that were pushing political agendas. They just weren't commercial.
Yeah.
And even that what you're talking about rap in the early 80s, it was still the same. It just wasn't commercial yet. And a lot of R&B, artists like
early 80s rap wasn't anything like late 80s rap. Early 80s rap was
Are you talking about early 80s rap as in like Run DMC and the Fat Boys, or are you talking about early 80s rap like in the inner city like rap, which is what we were getting commercially in the late 80s?
Well, the stuff we were getting commercially in the late 80s was not what was there in the early 80s.
I think it was.
It wasn't. That stuff didn't come along until like the mid 86, 87,
there were
88.
Messages. There were still social messages involved in a lot of that early like street rap, that underground rap.
There really wasn't in like Fat Boys or anything like that.
No, because they were commercial. That's my point. That's how they got commercial. It wasn't, like I said, if you were going to like the rap clubs and stuff, there was social stuff going on there.
Not a lot. It really wasn't.
Well, it was when I was there.
Yeah, sure, Ian.
No, I remember I watched this documentary on the rise of rap and hip hop. In the early days, it was very socially motivated. It was very socially driven.
Yeah, but you didn't start getting like a lot of the social messages. You're right. There always was to a certain extent. It really
just wouldn't have been commercial in the early 80s.
Even like underground stuff really wasn't. It wasn't really until like the I guess it depends on what you're considering early 80s, because I'm talking like it really wasn't until like probably 84, 85, 86. When you say early 80s, I'm thinking
I was even thinking like late 70s, early 80s, the really real formation of what we understand hip hop and rap to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going by what that documentary I watched.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Because a lot of it was coming from the fact that it was mostly inner city kids growing up around gangs and not really having much prospect outside of the gangs and outside of the inner city and the slums.
Yeah, but there wasn't. But what I'm saying though, there wasn't a huge. There wasn't the popularity of messages in that early music. Is all I was trying to say.
Well, yeah, no, there's no question about
like Sugar Hill Gang and shit like that. Right. I mean, which I guess Curtis Blow and all them. There was some popularity there, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't really until several years later, I think, that really became prominent in what was going on.
But equally, it's like, yeah, we kind of lost track of where I was going with that. But it's ultimately, if you have a message, great, say it. If you want to stand up to something, or if you feel strongly about something, you want to do it, great. But making a big deal about it, I think weakens it, and that's where I think this has kind of gone to. It's if it was just Neil Young and he did it and it was fine, Joni Mitchell throwing herself in there a little bit, that's fine. But once you got, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young joining forces, I mean, it's basically a reunion of the band.
That's what they say. I read that headline.
Did you? I didn't even know that was a headline. Because I stopped reading about it, because I read about the first interview, or the first.
It was something along the lines of like the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young reunion we thought would never happen, or something like that.
So I mean,
or they're finally reunited or something like that.
So it just at that point, then it's becoming theater, and it just drives me nuts. And that's where I was going with it. It's like, I just wish, if you are in the public eye, keep your opinions to yourself. If you're a musician and actor, stand up for certain things. But like, all it does is hurt. It hurts everybody.
I think if you have that platform, you should be able to use it if you want to.
If you have that platform. But if you're an actor, specifically, I'm talking about actors now. If you're an actor, you're representing whatever film or TV show you're working on. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the right to say what I want. Because if you say the wrong thing and people stop watching the show, that affects everyone in the show.
I don't have a problem with it. Unless it's something like blatantly racist or something like that, then yeah, I mean, if you've got, I guess it's more so. I think it's more so up to really the show or movie you're doing. If they have a problem with it, then you've got a problem.
Right.
But I mean, if you're like, but if you're an actor and you're, marching with Black Lives Matter or whatever, that's your right.
What you do on your private time, but I'm just saying. Maybe they
it's
need
all
to
your
stay
private
off.
time.
They need to stay off Twitter.
You're right. If you're in the middle of like a press junket for a movie, that's not the time and place to have a conversation like that.
By that standard, if you are at work and you wanted to express your opinion, outwardly.
Did you not hear what I just said? I said it's not. If they're at like a press junket, that's not an appropriate time to have a conversation about your personal beliefs. That would be something along the lines of work.
Fair enough. Twitter then is technically a press junket because you're using it
it's
not
not.
only, but use it for advertising.
That's your own private. That's your own private thing. I don't have a problem with it.
So if someone say actor X says something that pisses everyone off, racist or not, it doesn't matter, pisses everyone off, and the show that they're on gets canceled because of it. All those people are out of work now because one person said something. Is it stupid? Yes, it's fucking stupid. But maybe, just maybe, your opinion isn't that important where you have to express it. I don't care what your politics are. I don't even want to know.
Then keep on scrolling.
But
I mean,
my point,
it's still.
I agree with you that everyone should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. But you also have to agree that there are fucking consequences.
Absolutely.
And when those consequences affect other people,
absolutely.
That's a fucking problem.
I don't.
So maybe people should just shut their fucking mouths.
I would never say. I don't think if you're an artist or an actor or whatever, if you feel that you need to use your platform to. They're
a fucking actor. They don't have a platform. If they want a platform, they need to go and write something.
If you
have a platform, is to act as a character. If you want to express,
Paris Hilton has a platform,
and I'm saying that's fucking wrong.
It's not. It's just
unless it's a podcast or her private Twitter. That's fine.
You're not.
She's not an actor.
You're not the king of entertainment. If someone,
you're not.
No. What I'm saying is, if you feel that you need to say something, fucking say it. If there's repercussions, there's repercussions. Is all I'm saying.
So you're saying it's completely okay if the repercussions of that cost other people their fucking jobs?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
So if you were to lose your job because I said something,
here's the thing: maybe the next time they're in that situation, they won't say whatever they said before.
It's a learning experience. Other people are going to fucking suffer, but I get to learn something from it.
Or maybe everyone shouldn't be so fucking sensitive about it.
Well, I agree with that 100%, but my point is...
Because shows shouldn't get canceled off of something somebody says.
I agree, but it does. It does happen. And I'm saying because it happens...
That seems like the problem.
Because that happens...
Not what the person said. It's the show getting canceled because of it. That's the problem, Ian.
Well, it's easier to tell an actor to keep their fucking mouth shut than it is to tell the rest of the fucking world not to get all triggered by shit.
The rest of the world shouldn't get triggered by shit.
But they're going to. So people have to suffer. And I'm just saying, I am a purist when it comes to free speech. Everyone should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. But there are times we can't. If someone comes into the hospital wearing a Trump hat, we can't tell them they're fucking stupid for supporting Trump.
Because we're at work. That's the same thing like when I said that if you're in the press junket for a movie you've done,
what if you go to the store after work but you're still in your scrubs? And they see that you're wearing your scrubs. You're on your private time, but you're in the scrubs. Is that different?
Yeah.
How is that different? You're on your private time.
I'm on my private time.
So you say that, and then they go to the hospital and get you fired for it.
Yeah, we wouldn't get fired over it.
You don't think so?
No.
Even if it was racist?
No.
All right. I just personally think I'm tired. That's what it is. I think I'm just fucking tired. I don't care what people say on fucking Twitter. Twitter needs to go away. Maybe they should just fucking get rid of Twitter. Then the problem will go away.
I think we can go back to like 170 episodes and go back to the very first episode where I talked like this about social media in general, because that's the problem. But
I'm just tired.
Going back to my statement though, is like if you same thing with me. If I go online, I should be able to say whatever the hell I want to say. Mm-hmm. If there might be repercussions, yes. Mm-hmm. But you should have the ability to say that. I would never say, person X, Y, or Z should just keep their mouth shut. Because it might.
I don't disagree with you. Believe me, I don't. I think, like I said, I'm damn near an absolutist when it comes to free speech.
It doesn't sound like it.
I'm just to the point now where it's every fucking day. So and so said this. Whoopi Goldberg. Do you know what she actually said?
Yeah,
Okay.
I read what she said.
So she basically says, for the rest of you, that the Holocaust was not a racial thing, which it wasn't. It was a religious thing.
Yeah.
Because it was 98% of the Jews who were killed were Austrian, Russian, and Polish Jews.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Israeli Jews. It wasn't the cultural Jews. It was the religious Jews.
Yeah.
It was a religiously based Holocaust. That's all she was saying. And she's been suspended for it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying, though.
And
is
she's
that's
on a program that they're talking about this stuff. She didn't say anything wrong.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is the issue is not what the person is saying. The issue is the reaction by the company.
Yeah.
That's what that's what the real issue is.
But if they have to do that because they're afraid they're going to lose money, I mean, I get that. When you're talking about the livelihood of other people, that's what I'm saying. And that's kind of against what I'm talking about, because she's on a show called The View.
Well, it's a talk show. That's just a name.
Still, but the whole point of it is to have opinions, to have views on things.
Yeah, but opinions on The View for a long time have been very
two-sided.
Well,
and I see two-sided in a bad way, in a polarized way. Because you've got the conservative side and you've got the liberal side, and they're all saying the exact opposite to each other most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, for the most time. But even like when it first started, it was very conservative, like small C conservative.
I never really watched it.
There was never. It was never the View of talking about big ideas or anything like that. It was. No, it's an entertainment show, is what it is.
All shows are entertainment. Everything.
But it's a fucking talk show. Right. You might as well call it Sally Jesse Raphael, if anyone knows what the fuck that talk show was anymore.
Well, now it'd be like what, Wendy Williams,
Maury, or any of the other ones.
People know Maury because although Maury just does paternity tests.
Yeah, I know that. But fine, it's the
Jerry Springer.
It's the female version of Jerry Springer show. It's just another fucking daytime talk show. Is all it is.
I don't know.
The View's not curing cancer, man. It's like
well. My point is neither is fucking Neil Young or Joe Rogan.
No.
Neither is Gina Carano getting fired off Star Wars. That canceled an entire show. People lost jobs because she said something.
I wouldn't say people lost jobs. They probably didn't. They probably went to other projects, but they didn't.
Some of them did. Some of them did. But my point is,
because a lot of those, especially with like Disney, people have contracts with Disney. Like
that's my point. It's like.
And the thing and especially with her point, like that actually kind of goes towards what I was saying a little bit. She said something. Disney was like, "All right, you can't say that," and then she said it again anyway. So, and then she lost her job.
The difference is that she was contractually obligated not to say that.
Yes,
she signed a contract that says she'll keep her politics to herself, and she didn't.
Yeah,
she was fired for breach of contract, essentially, not for.
And that's kind of exactly what I was saying, though.
Right.
It's like you should be able to say whatever you want. And if your employer has a problem with it, that's what the problem is.
Right.
That's when you shouldn't. And if you say something and your employer doesn't like it, and they're like, "Hey, Ian, don't do that again," and you're like, "Yeah, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway," then that's on you.
Yeah, I also,
you're just a shitty person at that point.
My point what I was trying to make earlier actually was everyone has the right to say what they want. And you're talking about platforms. Is what an actor or an actress says, is their opinion any more important than anyone who doesn't have a platform?
No. But they're able to reach more people.
Yeah, but why do they want to? I mean, if you're a musician, if you're a singer-songwriter or a songwriter or a musician, and you want to express your views, that's kind of your platform. That's what you do.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, man, if I was an actor, I'd 100% use my platform for causes I believed in and things like that. Absolutely.
Well, I'd be the first one canceling you. Like, take him off the air. He's terrible.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
If you don't like...
I mean, now I just look forward to the Purge when we get to shoot each other. You and I aren't disagreeing. I mean, you like to wrap things in circles and make me angry. And It's my fault for letting you.
You're just like the typical American. You can't have a conversation without getting all mad.
No. I don't get mad because the problem I get mad at you. I have conversations with tons of people and never get mad. It's just you. Because we're arguing the same fucking thing.
But you don't have to get all loud about it. Just talk. Just have a conversation.
It's tough when I say something. You're like, no. I'm like, but I'm agreeing with you. No.
That's
and
not,
it just drives me to that point.
That's not what happened.
It is exactly what happens. It happens every time we have a conversation these days. I just want to punch you sometimes.
Yeah, that wouldn't work out really well.
Yeah, it might if I get a good shot and knock you out for about 2 seconds. I can run.
I'd let you get a free shot again. It's not going to help you.
I don't know. I think maybe if I worked out a little bit.
All right, fine. Give me 6 months. Let me.
I wouldn't need that long. A couple weeks. I'll work on it. Then I'll take my free shot.
I mean, technically, I have a very small platform, but I've got a platform.
Right.
I mean,
but and to be fair, yeah.
Now, granted, if I said some of the things I really want to say, sometimes we'd probably lose a lot of those people. But
right, and we don't have a lot to lose
because the vinyl then like part of our small media platform is very non-political. So we've kept it that way and
intentionally.
And I don't even promote. We'd get more listeners if I promoted the show on our Facebook group and all that stuff, and I don't. I keep it all separate.
Right. Because on this platform. But see, that's my point right there. Actually, right there. We're making a conscious choice as platform people to keep things separate.
Yeah.
For a reason. Because we know one thing will affect the other.
Yeah.
That's my point. Now, we can say whatever we want.
But that's kind of my point also, is if we didn't want to, we could.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But like
and yes, there might be repercussions, but you just deal with them.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of other people suffering for it. That's it.
No one's suffering off of it.
No, but
they really are.
They could.
Anything is possible. Aliens could come fly down right now and anally fucking probe me, Ian. I mean, it's possible. But
well, okay. Say we had our way.
A llama killing me in the street. It's possible.
Well,
it's not likely, but it's possible.
Oh, it's very likely.
The chances aren't zero.
No, they're not. Because now I'm going to try and find a llama and train it to kill you.
I mean,
but okay, so I guess what I'm saying is there are times where the other people suffer. Say our greatest wish came true and Fox News were to completely implode on itself and close down. Do you think Rupert Murdoch cares about that? Do you think Tucker Carlson cares?
No.
But the people who move the cameras around and the people who set up the desks might have a problem with that.
They would get jobs with the next flyby.
Possibly, but that's a lot of people,
But I mean, that's like people move and do different jobs all the damn time. I don't that kind of stuff. I don't concern myself with. Yeah. I really don't.
There's plenty of jobs.
There are plenty of jobs.
They can just pick themselves up by their bootstraps and just move on to the next one.
I'm going to tell you, man, in a market like that, especially with like cameramen and camera people, I don't know if it's gender neutral or whatever.
Camera theys.
Yeah, camera theys, but in a niche market like that, you can probably move jobs pretty damn easily. Especially with all the stuff that's going on. Especially,
I just like I said, I'm all for the workers. I don't. If it affects the workers, it bothers me.
Everything affects people, but
if someone can make a conscious choice not to do something to affect the workers, I think they should sometimes. That's all.
Well, I mean, but in their mind, they think they're doing whatever harm that might come. They're doing more good, but
they're not.
If they're out there
9 times
fighting for restrictions on assault style guns, I mean, or promoting gun bans and things like that, it might hurt their career at some point.
Yeah,
but
it won't work because we live in America. It would be easier to ban Facebook.
But what I'm saying though is they're what they think, the way they internalize that, or the way I would internalize that is. Whatever bad that may come, the potential good would outweigh any of that.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I just think that sometimes you have to know what the possibilities of your battles are going to.
So what you're saying is you're a fan of Michael Jordan's position when he was a basketball player.
Which was?
So in an interview, or probably I think it might happen more than once, there was an interview where someone said, "Hey, Michael, you've got all these eyes that watch you all the time. Why don't you stand up for more causes and things like that?" And he said, "Because Republicans and Democrats buy my shoes."
Which is a fair and honest answer.
I mean, it's yeah.
So maybe I do agree with him. Then. I mean, I don't know if I would make that same decision or
he's changed his stance since then. But
he doesn't have to worry about it. There's not a financial. His livelihood, it won't be affected either way now, whereas it might have been before.
Well, it has actually he has more on the line now than when he did then.
Why?
Because his shoe contracts now are even fucking bigger when he was playing.
Yeah, but he doesn't need the money if he loses.
Well, no, he owns a fucking NBA team now.
Yeah, I mean that's my point. It's like
I guess he could piss people off and they could stop showing up to his basketball games.
Right, and I mean that's a case where that.
So he could have a.
So you're right. No, actually, I agree with you. He does have more to lose now because it's not just him to be affected. It could potentially be people under him. So
yeah, But he does come out for causes and things like that now. But
and I guess maybe it's just picking your causes too. I don't know. I just like I said. You think Ted Nugent and Kid Rock haven't been hurt by their views on certain issues? Well, I can tell you this. I used to love Ted Nugent. No, fuck that. I can't even lie about that. No, I don't think it's hurt them.
I think it has big. I think it's especially Kid Rock. It's really hurt Kid Rock.
Really?
Absolutely.
But he just released that fantastic single.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Maybe it did, but
Kid Rock at one time, Kid Rock was one of the biggest musicians in the world. Hey,
I know it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, BTS is fucking bigger than anything, right? And has been for the last several years.
Korean band?
Yes, I don't fucking like their music either, but
I wouldn't. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying though is like Kid Rock.
They're so pretty.
Kid Rock was this huge musician.
Yeah,
and crossed many genres. Obviously he started out with. Get great sandwiches for breakfast, and had this like big rap career before kind of moving into
White Trashville.
No, before that he went to like rap rock. He kind of created, or one of the co-creators of the rap rock kind of genre. And you had to remember at one time he was touring with Neil Young and Pearl Jam, artists like that,
right? That
he had musically similar interests with, and then he kind of opened his big mouth and ruined half of his audience, or turned away half of his audience. Now, granted, he's made a lot of that back up with, a lot of the country stuff, and he's done that maybe appeals to more of the people he's more politically aligned with.
Yeah,
but
again, that's affecting one person. That's making
really. What about all of his roadies and people that do all of his tours and all that stuff with him? There for a while, I'm sure it hurt him.
Yeah, but in between tours, they're not working for him anyway.
No, but there are people that are involved.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't even be on the show anymore.
Oh, shut up. There you are, getting all fucking butt hurt.
I'm butt hurt. My butt's bleeding. I need to change my tampon.
You don't use tampons on your butt, but whatever.
Oh, now you tell me. The money I could have saved all these years. Jesus.
But, Ted Nugent is somebody else I think it's probably hurt his career more than even Kid Rock. Because Kid Rock has kind of rebuilt his career.
Ted Nugent hasn't.
Ted Nugent really hasn't.
Yeah, but Ted Nugent's kind of in that Neil Young stage where he's made enough money that I think he's okay.
That was almost a really great goal, by the way.
I know. I've been watching it too.
We're watching a soccer game. We have a soccer game on while we're recording this. So. But but Ted Nugent was somebody who was this huge musician for a long time, and then he always kind of had a political side to him,
right? Well, his positions on guns and stuff, and are in the Second Amendment, whatever. Yeah, he's always been vocal about that.
Well, he wasn't,
but because
he became,
and honestly, I think his career did start to decline a bit once he became very vocal about that, especially once the school shooting shit started with blowing up and everything. But there's only one Ted Nugent song that I like.
Stranglehold.
No, Fred Bear. I like that
Cat
song.
Scratch Fever.
No, Fred Bear. That's the name of the song I like.
Yeah. He's got a couple good songs. I mean, he's one of those artists I would never buy one of their albums.
God, no. I don't want any of my money to go to him if I can avoid it.
Well, because if you buy used, none of your money does go to him.
That's true. But I had a Damn Yankees CD once.
Yeah. I forgot he was with Damn Yankees.
Yeah. It wasn't very good.
Yeah. It was none of their stuff I ever really was.
I never liked it. Even when I first had it, I was like, I really don't like this.
Yeah, Mandy, I think it was Mandy, kind of gave me shit for buying a Kid Rock record. I was like, yeah, I bought it used, so none of the money went to Kid Rock.
Right.
He was already paid for it.
Yeah. Whatever. I guess to end it out, my view is, yes, I'm pretty much a purist when it comes to free speech, but maybe just before you send that tweet, before you say those things, there's nothing wrong with taking an extra second just thinking about it. That's all.
Well, yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
I think that goes across the board though. Beyond famous people. I mean, in general, you should.
Maybe if you're famous, maybe take 2 seconds to think.
You should always like, even if you want to, just like type it out and then wait.
Yeah.
And come back and
sleep on it. Wake up the next morning and give it another look and just see if maybe you really want to say that.
Yeah, because like I said, that's everyone should kind of follow that.
And
though.
I do.
It's not just
I have not sent so many posts on Facebook and messages.
Oh, I have
millions. I've done that. I've even typed them out, and after reread them, I'm going, no, not saying. I can't do. And sometimes I'll send it with just one word, but I typed out like 30 words.
Yeah,
a whole paragraph.
Oh, I definitely do that. I'll like type out like a whole big long thing, and I'm like, nah, okay.
How I do that even with like just normal conversations. Someone will be like, say something, I'll be like, and I'll be like, no, I'll delete it and just say yes. Just, like I said, type out an entire paragraph and then just delete it and say yes or no or whatever.
Yeah, no, I definitely have. I think I've kind of been on both sides of that. I think most of the time I kind of reread things, kind of think about it a little bit. Sometimes I'll just like.
I know I've said things. I've never posted anything that I've ever regretted because I've always.
Oh, I've never posted anything I've regretted. Yeah. Even some of the shit I've said to people.
But I mean, there's never been like something that I would have. I've never posted anything where I would have been like, maybe I should have done that differently. I just don't, because I just don't post. Basically, I mean, I can probably count on two hands only how many posts I've sent that were like that, and it's usually just as a comment to somebody else.
Yeah, it's normally to my brother.
Yeah, that's the first 5 right there. Only because for a while there, I didn't think he was that bad.
Oh, he's a crazy right winger.
Growing up, he's always been kind of on the right side of things.
He's always been kind of I think he's always been a little more on the
crazier side. Because we used to have our, debates.
Oh yeah, that's where the whole idea of this podcast came from. Is because the three of us or some other people would have these long conversations till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
We blow through an entire pack of cigarettes in a night, and maybe a couple beers and stuff. And it's like, we never really were compatible politically.
No.
But I never thought that he was that far gone.
Yeah, he's gotten worse, I think, over the years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where it's gotten to. But
good thing he doesn't listen to the show.
If he does and listens to this, I'm like, I would just say, Scott, what happened?
Yeah.
Did you have a traumatic brain injury that we didn't know about? Did you fall off your bike? I mean, seriously. But, I know you don't like to wear a helmet.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that is solid advice, Ian. Well, I guess we'll leave it on that. That's the solid advice is think before you type shit, or think before you say things. But that's we've all been raised that way. Just some people don't pay attention.
I don't think people are raised that way anymore, and I think that goes again to our social media.
Well, because that's the toxic social media and society that we have.
Right.
Like I said, that kind of goes back to the whole very first episode of the show where I fucking railed on it for an hour.
And I was probably less railing on it then than I am now.
No, I've for years I've said that social media is the downfall of fucking society.
Yeah, well, it is.
And on that happy note, if you got any questions or comments, you can email us at Ian. What's our email address?
lifeingeneralpod@gmail.com.
That it is. And we're on Facebook, and we're not on Twitter or anything anymore. But
no, Twitter's the worst.
I don't know. I've kind of rediscovered Twitter a little bit lately. It's still,
and I've thought about it.
It's still kind of a toxic place, but I make it a less toxic place.
Just by your presence?
No, by not following the shit that's fucking toxic.
Oh, right. Well, that's how I am on Instagram. I don't follow anything toxic on Instagram.
No, my whole Instagram feed is all just music. I do have more news stuff on my Twitter feed, but I've unfollowed because I would follow a lot of different politicians and things like that. I got rid of all that shit on fucking Twitter.
Yeah,
I don't want to fucking see any of it.
Yeah.
So I just curate. I curate my feed a little bit better now.
I curated my Twitter feed by just deleting it. I don't even have a Twitter handle anymore. So
all right. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm proud about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you some GoPros, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the car, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear